Hey guys, in one of our other videos that we did, we were talking about the different layering systems and the military PCU system real briefly, and how you can get your various excuse me, wind and water resistant and cold weather layers on the surplus market, and how you can kind of do that on a budget a little bit and not break the bank and get some really good stuff. But the one downside to what we like to use is the current military stuff. It's all a multicam. So multicam's not a problem. Even if you're running old school Woodland or heck, it don't matter what you're running. You're not doing a fashion show, so having everything matching isn't always a priority. Now, that said, there are valid reasons to want to be uniform, not only for yourself, but if you've got a preparedness group or whatever, you may want everybody to be uniform and on the same page. There are valid reasons for that, and we are big fans of that for a number of reasons. Totally different discussion. Bottom line is, get what you can afford, get the best that you can afford within your budget, and go with it. If it don't match, big whoop, it don't match. When you're sitting out there warm and dry and functional because you've got the right clothing and layers on and you were able to afford to get it, whether it matches or not is going to be kind of irrelevant to the guy that doesn't have it, and he's over there soaking wet, freezing to death, miserable, hypothermic, sweating to death, whatever. So, enough about that. We briefly mentioned in that video, and that what if you can't afford that? Now, the stuff that we pointed out in that video is even more affordable than all the real high-end stuff, but for some folks, maybe that stuff's even still too expensive. Valid point. Just because it's too expensive doesn't mean that you still don't need good clothing and layers and stuff that's going to get the job done under conditions. So what do? Had a conversation with a friend about that, and we were discussing a bunch of that, and he had some questions, so here's what we thought we'd throw out. You guys that are on a budget, you guys that are running old school Woodland, don't want to change over or can't change over to multicam or something new or whatever, nothing wrong with that. Old school Woodland still kicks butt. So while this is kind of be dedicated toward you old school Woodland fans like we are, it'll be applicable to anybody. Use your brain and think outside the box here. So what do we do about a level 5 windproof layer, level 6 waterproof layer, and back down even a level 4 windproof layer? A number of options. First off, for a good level 5 layer, we like to recommend exactly what I've got on right here. This is a plain old British DPM windproof smock. The Brits did some amazing work with their SAS smocks and layering over the years. Look at the environment that they're perpetually in. Very oftentimes it's cold and rainy and windy. There you go. They got a lot of experience working in those kind of environments. These jackets are available all over eBay for really affordable prices, up to just over what some of the U.S. military surplus stuff is. There's a real broad range of pricing there. The SAS smocks come in a couple of options. If you're running multicam, you can get the Brit MTP stuff, which is really close enough that if you want it to match, it doesn't really matter. It's not gonna, you're gonna have to look real hard to tell that it's not multicam or vice versa. This one's in DPM. DPM goes really well with old school Woodland. There you go. It's a good match. There's a couple of different versions of this smock out there. Now, let me start off by saying the smocks are just made to be an outer garment. You've got 4 big pockets. You've got some zippered pockets right here, your zipper and Velcro closure, and then there's a big hood, and the hood will roll up, and then there's a tab that'll button down and hold it up if you're not wearing the hood, so it's not just flopping in the breeze like a cape. A couple of different versions. This particular version is just a windproof smock. It is not lined and it is not waterproof. It's somewhat water resistant, you know, like a light rain is going to kind of shed off of it, like a misty, drizzly kind of rain. Real heavy downpour is going to go through it. It's just meant to be a windproof smock. You can get them with a waterproof layer in them that it's like a Gore-Tex layer that's built into the jacket, and it is not only windproof, but much like the level 6 hard shells in the US line, it's waterproof. It will keep you dry. There's also a separate waterproof jacket that you can get that goes underneath it. You'll forgive me, I don't recall the exact name and nomenclature for it, but little searching you can find it pretty easy. Google, Bing, whatever. This particular one that I've got on is just a windproof smock. There's no Gore-Tex lining to it, no nothing. These do an outstanding job of blocking the wind without overheating. Again, it's just the regular material. There's no insulation built into it, no nothing. You use your same separate insulation layers underneath it, just like you would with anything else. This jacket I got for like 35 bucks brand new. You can find them brand new for that. You can find surplus British ones. Just look around on eBay. Arctis makes some brand new ones that are really nice. You're getting up in the $125, $150 range, give or take. Again, just depends on your budget and what you want to do. So this works great for a level 5 wind jacket, but what about if I need rain protection? What if it's pouring down rain and I'm getting wet? Well, there's an answer for that. The answer for that is to get a waterproof layer that you can put on in addition to this jacket, maybe over the top of it, but more preferably, what we like to do is you wear it underneath it. This is where we're talking about there are some really affordable options out there for staying dry and not breaking the bank. This is my rain layer, okay? This is a completely waterproof nylon shell. It's single layer. There's no insulation to it, no nothing. It does have, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, there you go, armpit zips, and much like a military one, you've got zippers here, although this has got the mesh inside like the level 5 does. You can vent heat right there in addition to using it as a pocket. This has got a really cool little feature where the flap, the rain flap, velcros over. You can also velcro it back on itself so it'll stay open if you've got it unzipped. This is a commercial jacket. This one's made by a company called Red Ledge. They make mountaineering and hiking stuff. This is the Thunderlight Parka. This is an older one. There's a slightly newer version out, but you still get the same jacket. It comes in a variety of color options. I think this color on their list is called the suede color. It's kind of a brownish green color. Again, this is a ripstop nylon material that is coated and taped on the inside. This thing makes a great dual purpose, like a level 4 wind shirt or for your rain layer. There is a hood on it. Unfortunately, there's no way to stow the hood. You just kind of have to let it flop back. But if you put it on underneath your regular jacket, it's thin enough that it'll flatten out. It's not an issue. So these usually go for about 50 or 60 bucks, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on whether you're buying new or used and just the given dealer that you're buying from. Amazon, eBay, they're all over the place. I know for a fact that there are some pretty cool guys that wear this exact jacket when they're doing good things to bad people in dark places of the world. In fact, this very jacket came from one of those guys. Normally it doesn't have Velcro on here, but the previous owner that gave this to me used some fabric glue and glued on their Velcro for various reasons. Don't let all the fancy advertising fool you. The high-speed guys aren't stupid, and they're not made of unlimited money personally either. They get what works. Just because a company says that such and such a military unit or group is using their stuff doesn't always mean that it's what they use all the time. It might mean they just gave one to somebody and they went and tried it and used it and liked it. That's about it. Same thing with this. You'd be surprised who was buying these with their own money and using them when they could buy pretty much anything else they wanted to as well. Again, you can do the same thing with this. It's what we did with the multicam layers. You can get your combat shirt and your base layer on. Then you've got a nice windproof jacket right here without a lot of insulation. I get up moving and rucking, I can throw this on, put my gear on over top of it, and vent and adjust heat as needed for if I'm up and moving. This is just one option that you've got. You can mix and match this. If it's not raining and you just need a wind layer, you can just use that unlined, uninsulated windproof smock. Again, 35 bucks, got a great jacket, a couple of fleece base layers underneath it. You're good through some pretty wide temperature range, especially if you're up moving and whatnot. Excuse me. So again, you don't have to break the bank with some of this stuff, guys. This is just a plain old Redledge Thunderlight parka. Now, other options for my woodland brothers or anybody else that's just on a budget. If you need something a little more, you can do the same thing with, and I know some of you probably already are, but wait for it. Your old school ECWS parka. This is actually a GI one. These are, I'm not going to button everything up, but just so you get the idea. This is your basic GI ECWS parka. It's windproof, it's waterproof, you've got your Gore-Tex layer in there. So if you needed a layer that was going to block the rain, block the wind, you could layer underneath it. Here you go. It's somewhat breathable, but again, being a Gore-Tex parka, there's just not as much breathability there as like a non-Gore-Tex one's going to be. You do have armpit zips on there. Not a whole lot of pockets. You got one over here on your shoulder, but that's really about it, other than your two lower pockets down here, which again, pockets in a jacket are kind of irrelevant. I'm not necessarily always using those. That's what my gear and everything else is for. Again, it's fairly thin. This one's probably one of the bulkiest items to try to pack down, but if you need a good general purpose versatile jacket, again, you can find these used and surplus on eBay for really good prices, and even brand new. I think I bought this one brand new at a gun show for like 30 bucks. So guys on a budget, don't fear. You can have good functional stuff that's honestly quite nice stuff without breaking the bank. Just do a little homework check around, and don't get wrapped up in, oh, I've got to have the $500, you know, high-end jackets. Those are great, but as with anything, a lot of times all you're paying for with those is the name that's on it. There's not necessarily that much more benefit to what you're getting. Not completely, not always, but usually that's the case. So again, the British SAS smock, the Redledge Thunderlight parka, and there may be others like that. I'm just using that as an example because that's what I've got. Look around and see. Good old GI ECWS jacket. You can pack this up, even if it's in a non-tactical situation, for like just emergency use in a get-home bag or whatever. Throw this on with a pair of jeans and rock out. People just do not pay attention to this kind of stuff anymore if you're worried about that being an issue. Not going to get off in the weeds on that one because that's another video for a whole nother discussion. But anyway, I hope this gives you guys on a budget, you guys that are running old school woodland, whatever the case may be, I hope this gives you some ideas on what you can do for some cold weather, wet weather outer layers. Again, if you got any questions, hit us up. We'll be glad to try to answer them. We ain't got all the answers and don't know it all, but we do know what we do know, and we do know there's a lot we don't know. So if we don't know, we'll try to go look and find it from somebody who does know, or point you in the right direction to go find it from somebody that does know. So on that note, as always, take care, stay prepared, keep your powder dry.